Good morning, everyone. Chirag, have you put up the streaming? Share the poster. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We'll start at 10:30, so please be with us. Good morning, Professor Vedprakash, sir. Thank you, sir, for joining. Good morning, Seema Bajaj, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning. I was on mute, sorry.
Good morning. Good morning, Bimal.
Good morning, Renuka, ma'am. Good morning. Hi, good morning, Rita. And I think Josna, ma'am, is yet to join.
कॉफी कॉफी में दूध जो है वो वाला डालना जो पाउडर दूध कॉफी बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग मत बना पानी डाल के दे देना 11:15 बजे के करीब
Josna, ma'am, has joined. Please make her co-host. Good morning, Josna, ma'am. I think now you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. You have to slightly position your screen.
Sorry?
Yeah, now it is better. morning. चिराग देखो सर Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Principal Sir. Welcome. Chirag, make Principal Sir also co-host. Principal Sir, can you unmute yourself? Just check. Chirag, make Sir co-host.
Yes, ma'am, he is the co-host.
I think, sir, now you can. Yes, check.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, Principal Sir. Good morning. We have Sir Professor Ved Prakash Sir, Professor Bakshi Sir, Jyotsna Govil ma'am from ICS, all her team members, all dear colleagues from different parts of the country. Good morning and namaskar, everyone. So, sir, with your permission, shall I start? It's right 10:30 and.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, right. Thank you, sir. So, good morning, everyone. And here, Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center of Ministry of Education presents another exciting webinar, national webinar on experiential learning as envisaged in NEP 2020. And the very renowned panelists we have amongst us, we have Professor Ved Prakash Sir, former chairman UGC. We have Professor A.K. Bakshi, Vice Chancellor PDM University. We have Mrs. Jyotsna Govil, Chairperson, Indian Cancer Society, Delhi Base NGO. We have Professor Jaswinder Singh, Director GAD TLC and Principal SCTV Khalsa College, University of Delhi. And I am Vimal Rar, and I welcome you all in this webinar. And please share this YouTube channel link if those who are not able to join your colleagues on Zoom. You still have time to join and register, and we will be taking it further. So I welcome each one of our distinguished panelists in this lovely morning here. I know it is almost night in where Prakash sir is logged in, and very early morning where Jyotsna ma'am has logged in from UK. So I welcome all dignitaries, all participants, ICS team, the GAD-TLC team, and especially warm welcome to all dear colleagues who have joined from different parts of our great country, India. GAD-TLC is the center of Ministry of Education under the prestigious Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme. Situated at my own prestigious institute, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, a constituent college of University of Delhi, I welcome you on behalf of SCTB Khalsa College and University of Delhi as well. Seeking blessings from Guru Angad Dev Ji, the second of the 10 Sikh Gurus, we are taking this GAD-TLC center. It truly who is working for teachers and by the teachers. So we are into collaborative programs, and I'm happy to share just yesterday we have completed the 84th FDP and trained more than 73,000 teachers in the Corona time itself. We have state-of-the-art infrastructure in terms of training facilities, and very soon we are planning some physical programs as well. This center was inaugurated on 1st July 2016, and since then we have been working with the agenda that how the teaching community can do the professional development and see, understand, be aware about what are the policy changes happening at the national and global level, and how as institutions and as individuals we have to upgrade ourselves, not only in terms of our teaching skills, the pedagogy, the technology, but also our subject requirement. And with the newer changes coming in the NEP-2020 institutions adopting these, there are more changes which are in line. And this particular webinar is focused on some of these pertinent issues, which will be that how we can take the role of becoming mentor for our students and provide them opportunities for internship and so on. And we have distinguished academicians who are in our advisory committee at GAD-TLC, headed by Professor A.K. Bakshi, Chairman. We are now having Professor Ved Prakash sir as mentor for us and other distinguished academicians, and myself and Professor Jaswinder Singh, we are the executive heads. Just last month, our entire team was felicitated by Smriti Zubin Irani, the Union Minister of Women and Child Development. So here we are on yet another exciting national webinar, Experiential Learning as Envisaged in NEP 2020. And before I proceed further, let me inform you, please do register those who are looking for certifications, and please share it to your other colleagues also, those who are not able to join on Zoom. The Zoom link is yet open. You can directly join, but if not, then you can join through YouTube channel. My team is there and all the links will be shared there. But the certificate will be provided based on attendance. My team is there looking at who all are logged in YouTube as well as the Zoom, and based on that, along with that, we will be also sharing some feedback forms which will be required to be filled up. And now I request our worthy principal, Professor Jaswinder Singh, Director GAD-TLC, to please give the welcome address, sir.
Thank you, Professor Vimal. Let me at the outset welcome very renowned panelists today. Professor Ved Prakash, as you have rightly said, that he is not only a friend and a guide, but the concept builder, and also he has not merely acted as a a kind of supervisor from a distance. Rather, he has been participating in building the teachers' base proactively in the entire teaching learning process. I have not seen any administrator of his stature guiding the teachers and so frequently, helping us in formulating the concepts and developing the pedagogy and methodology with the continuously changing environment. We will come to this, and that is the main focus of today's workshop, also today's thing. Professor A.K. Bakshi, who achieved excellence in the University of Delhi and also who is continuing even after his retirement from University of Delhi. He is the Vice Chancellor of PDM University in the National Capital Region. But at the same time, he has kept his very keen interest in seeing that the institutions, they do not lag behind. They do not lag behind in the nation building in their own way. We as teachers, we as participants in as a kind of part of the system, our responsibility is not merely to deliver lectures and draw the good pay, but also actively participate in the process which education is supposed to deliver. The National Education Policy, Professor Ved Prakash, I think, has seen all the three major policies coming before him. And since he is a person with the education background, I mean, the discipline in education. So he has been telling us, he has been guiding us where perhaps the trouble spots are and where we need to concentrate more. Policy statements are broad guidelines, but every institution in a cooperative way, cooperative in terms of, the cooperation at the institution level and also cooperation in interinstitutional mechanisms. So the new education policy, which emphasizes multidisciplinarity and the research intensiveness in the higher education system, expects us to develop those mechanisms whereby we can come up to the expectations of the students. Students are very tender minds in the sense that whatever we teach them, they accept that, but is that really adequate? Do we really reach up to the objectives? And that is going to be the focus today, that how we can, within the existing frameworks, within the frameworks which have been provided to us in the national education policy as stakeholders, how we can, bring them to the classrooms and take them out of the classroom so that, the learning objectives, the process of learning can be made easy for them. So welcome, Professor Bakshi, to this very, very important aspect. Madam Jyotsna Govila ji has been, has been very actively helping us in developing our outreach programs. Dr. Vimal and Indian Cancer Society, they developed a program whereby, we were trying to see that how the students on their own, how the youngsters on their own can develop awareness about the cancers, especially the girls. So their team, in fact, the Indian Cancer Society and Khalsa College, under the aegis of, our entire process, and also Professor Bakshi, in a way, we helped them bring out this program, and it is available on the SWAM portal. So thank you, Professor Jyotsna Govilji, for coming to us. And Professor Vimal, who has been continuously, she has risen from going through various paths, being an excellent teacher is one part, but at the same time, sharing your knowledge and developing it further in a way which is more suitable, which is more convenient, and which can help us, which can help the institutions. Not only the institution, Khalsa College or University of Delhi, but beyond these institutions, Professor Vimal has been coordinating. She has been developing the programs, and also in a way we have been, trying to participate under the mentorship of Professor Ved Prakash in the national endeavor. Wherever they thought us fit, we helped, and we also learned a lot in the process. And all the participants who are here today from different corners of the country, very large in number, I extend this very warm welcome to you to this very, very special topic today, which is the experiential learning in the National Education Policy 2020. So, the perspective is very clear. It is even today, in a city like Delhi, in a system like University of Delhi, I am not, I cannot say very confidently that, the classroom teaching is being actually helping them a lot. So therefore, experiential learning or learning by involving these students in actual problems or taking them out of the classrooms should be the focus. And even if we look at the broad structure of the curriculum framework which has been given, which has been designed at the UGC level, and which has also been adopted and modified to a very, very large extent in University of Delhi, the skill component and the value-based learning are the two important areas where the the focus is going to be. But also, within the core subjects, within the interdisciplinary subjects, we are trying to bring in those areas where I think the students can be more involved. It can give them the avenues that how they can learn. Now, I can give you one example, in the discipline of economics. Theoretically, yes, the students, they do really good. But when we ask them how the budget exercising is done, how the allocations are made, what is the role of the public policy, how the welfare policies can benefit the students, there they are completely lacking. Now, in zoology, for instance, the life sciences, the live experiments have been banned. I really do not know, whether the minimal experiments through the experiential learning, while actually involving the students into the process, will help us a lot. And it requires revision at the national level, at the UGC and at the Ministry of Education level, that, especially in these areas. But yes, in areas where the permission is given, for instance, in chemistry and in agrochemicals or the chemical components, we do use them, and we do use them very, very irresponsibly. We discharge those chemicals into the drains of the colleges, and those they are taken to the Najafgarh drain or to the drains nearby, and you can see that how it has damaged the local environment. Similarly, for instance, the practices in Punjab and Haryana about the use of chemicals in agriculture sector, it has led us to a situation where not only the natural resource base has been, has been shortened in a very, very major way. Today, Punjab is facing the water crisis. The the land of 5 rivers is facing the water crisis. And, the water is contaminated up to 250 feet deep into the ground. And, Delhi, for instance, the fresh water is not even 30% of the requirements. So how do we manage these issues? I think the national education policy in its entirety, in its connectivity with other interdisciplinary subjects, need to awaken, need to make us more educated, need to make the students more sensitive to these areas. And this is possible only through the experiential learning. Once again, I will not go deep into it because I'm very keen to listen to the experts today. And I'm sure, today's whole workshop will help us in understanding these issues. And I, on behalf of Khalsa College, on behalf of GAD-TLC, and also on behalf of the Ministry of Education, under this program of under Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching, I welcome you all, and I look forward to gaining much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Any event at GAD-TLC does not happen with the great back work, the ground level work, and the guidance that you are always giving us. So thank you for the support, and not only from principal sir, but my entire management committee headed by Siddharth Lojan Sirji, who has got recently Padma Bhushan. So always their blessings are with us. And yes, you rightly said we have very stalwart, I'll say rather, academicians with us, and we will be listening more about this. And that's what all our colleagues are also waiting for. But before we do that, I think when we talk about experiential learning, we have to be looking at models where how do we implement. And a unique thing we have come out with, which more details we'll be sharing after Professor Ved Prakash sir and Professor Bakshi has given us overview about experiential learning, that how can we as teachers become a part of this change? Because when we say model of experiential learning, I think it has to help also how the teachers can be a part to build 21st century skills and the value-based education among students as envisaged in NEP 2020 and outcome-based education. So we have designed some FDPs, which more details we'll be sharing, and these FDPs will also help institutions to work towards the goal of community outreach program, especially our association with Indian Cancer Society, and that's why we have specially requested Madam Jyotsna Govil to be with us and enlighten more on that. So that's how we will be taking further. And now I will request all the distinguished dignitaries here and all dear colleagues who have joined, everyone to be with us in this moment. Sir, Professor Ved Prakash sir, if you can do the honors, if you can announce these new dimensions of FDP, the innovative FDP that we have taken your guidance and evolved. So please, if can I proceed further, sir? If you can announce it open. Yeah. So here we are launching innovative and unique faculty development programs. And what are these? Here the teachers will be trained, and I'll not say trained, but they will be facilitated by the experts and working in different areas for carrying out student internship in their own institutions. And we will be talking more about them. But the two immediate programs that we have come out, and more programs all of you can think around. So even if it is not directly fitting to your, just try to understand what is experiential learning. And now in your own subject as a group of teachers, if you can work out with the provision, we are here to take these ideas further. So two ideas which we have finally concretized on, I'll say, is one which we are doing on teachers as mentors for student internship on cancer awareness. And here we have collaborated with Indian Cancer Society. And this will be a 1-week national online faculty development program, an interdisciplinary FDP, where in phase 1, the teachers get trained in the FDP in this 5 to 11 July. And after that, at their institution level, till 15 December, they will be carrying out programs with the students, and all the guidance will be provided. So we will be sharing more details about these. Be glued with us. And another very exciting program, obviously, here we have a team of chemistry expert. We have Professor Ved Prakash, we have Professor Bakshi, and I am also a chemistry student. So we have also come down with 1-week national online faculty development program for chemistry and aligned discipline teachers. And as rightly mentioned by Professor Jaswinder Singh, that what are we doing in our chemistry labs or in other labs? So can we make an environment not only immediately in our institution, but also help the school education system into making safer and greener chemistry labs? So that FDP, which is scheduled from 19 to 25 July, will be focusing on that. So teachers as mentors for students internship is what is this new theme of FDPs is. And before we go further, I think let us try to know how the policy and this experiential learning has been woven together, and who better can do this. So we have distinguished speaker, Professor Ved Prakash, former chairman, University Grants Commission. And I think he needs no introduction. All of us are very well aware about the various distinguished positions he had and the various awards. But then I will like to mention here, please, if you have still not hold a grab on his book, I have myself gone through, it is something on entire policy that he has highlighted on. So this book, sir, without your permission, I have thought that I will share. So this is a recent book sir has written, and this you can, where there's an entire overview of Indian higher education is there in one chapter, National Education Policy, Remote Teaching and Learning, about research, quality and excellence in higher education, assessment and accreditation, governance in higher education, regulatory system, entry of foreign education institutions, teacher education, vocationalization in higher education, learning from legendary intellectuals, and challenges posed during the COVID-19 pandemic. So here we request very Honorable Professor Ved Prakash sir to please deliver your talk, sir. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vimal, very much. My esteemed colleagues, Professor Jaswinder Singh, Principal of Guru Angad Dev Khalsa College, Delhi, Professor Bakshi, Honorable Vice Chancellor of PDM University, Bahadurgarh, Professor Jyotsna Govil from Indian Cancer Society, and Professor Bimal Rar from Khalsa College, and all other colleagues. Very good morning to all of you. I also join Professor Jaswinder Singh and Dr. Bimal in extending a very warm welcome to all of you for participating in this webinar, which is a very different kind of a webinar actually. There are two things in it. One is we can see that Vimal and Jyotsna ji, they have established a symbiotic relationship. I mean, coming two of them together for a great cause is really laudable. I would like to congratulate Jyotsna ji, and I would also like to congratulate Jaswinder and Vimal for this initiative. This is one thing that I would like to say right in the beginning. The another thing is that until now, we have never ever talked about experiential learning at the undergraduate programs in conventional teaching and learning. I mean, we have this experiential learning in professional programs, but we did not have this experiential learning in our conventional undergraduate programs, non-professional undergraduate programs. But before I come down to that, let me make an opening statement that education is a subject that has continued to evolve, and it has extended its reach and coverage since the dawn of human history. It's evident from the recorded history that societies have played a very important role in the spread of education all the way from the earliest time to the present day. And this is what Professor Jyotsna is doing, that she is creating awareness amongst the masses insofar as this heart-wrenching disease, which is known as cancer, is concerned. The progressive societies of the world realized much earlier than others that education holds great promise for individuals' social, economic, and spiritual transformation. And it was for that reason that right from the earlier days, they recognized education as a unique investment in the present and the future. Education, in fact, is both a process of living and preparation for future living. The best education involves learning through experience. Instead of relying on rote memorization to learn, education should consist of a journey of experiences building upon each other to create and understand new ideas. It is therefore necessary that classroom activities that we perform and carry out and the life experiences of students should be connected. Otherwise, what happens that the real learning would be nearly impossible. Educational institutions have a duty to prepare students for life in society by socializing them, by creating social awareness amongst them. That is what Jyotsna ji has been doing through her NGO. If students are cut off from their real world, their learning would become less meaningful and less memorable, and it would be much more so in the case of higher education. Higher education, in fact, is extremely critical for social, economic and technological advancements. It is higher education which provides us with critical tools to understand the social dynamics, which helps us in designing interventions to ensure equity and taking steps towards creating a progressive society. Higher education develops and promotes technology which permeates in all dimensions of human development. And higher education is no longer a privilege now. It has become a social demand all over the world. Until recently, most students continue to graduate and employers continue to hire them based on their potential. But lately, what has happened and what is being noticed very widely is that skill gaps have widened at an alarming rate. And people have started questioning the employability of graduates. Many a time you would have seen news items saying that only 25% of the graduates are employable. The point that we need to learn from such statements is that modern societies cannot function without increasing the number of educated and skilled people who can fulfill the requirements of the modern times. In these times, people ask insightful questions about students, faculty, and community in terms of lifelong learning, employability, career development, global citizenship, leadership and teamwork, and for which we have very weak answers. In order to provide the right kind of answers, higher educational institutions will have to undergo enormous amount of transformation. Institutions are now required to provide relevant knowledge and skills that prepare students for tomorrow's world, and that tomorrow's world which is becoming increasingly unpredictable. We do not know what is going to be the shape and the size of the world in 5 years from hence or 10 years from hence. The Industrial Revolution has created skill gaps across all industries. We did not hear about artificial intelligence a couple of years ago, but now artificial intelligence is playing a very pivotal role. In fact, it has given rise to a race between technology and education. As technology advances, education is required to metamorphose, anticipate, and prepare for impact. Education must focus on molding future workforce by imparting knowledge and skills which are needed by the modern world. And the race to solve the escalating skill crisis requires institutions to collaborate with industries, with communities, with NGOs, and devise remedies for the problems which the mankind is facing on different fronts. In fact, competency-based education, which is commonly known as outcome-based learning, is becoming the need of the hour. It is the competency-based education which alone can address the needs of individual students, as it has the potential of broadening the skills. Now, what kind of higher education do we need? While we have evolved some systems over the years, a lot more needs to be done to revamp the system of higher education so that it meets not only country's basic needs, but it is also in sync with the international trends. The basic question, therefore, arises is what kind of higher education do we need? We need higher education where our programs address local, regional, national, and global concerns. We need higher education where we offer programs which have futuristic orientation. We need higher education wherein our programs are rated the best in the world, and where academic excellence becomes the goal of every department and every institution. The changing requirements of the global economy need a rethinking of the quality of higher education and a policy shift, moving from a haphazard approach to a more reasoned one, commensurate with the scale of context-specific interventions. It is necessary, particularly in higher education, because no human pursuits have ever made any material progress until higher education was brought to bear upon them. We must not be complacent with our minuscule progress here and there. We must consistently test the limits of our knowledge. Universities must ask questions where the answers are not known. Universities should exercise their autonomy to innovate on matters of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment within a broad framework of higher education qualifications. The time has come when these long-standing challenges need to be addressed by such approaches that are culturally appropriate, ethically correct, and financially viable. Greater focus needs to be laid on the development of creativity and innovation, critical thinking and higher order capacities like problem-solving abilities, teamwork, communication skills, etc. We need to develop all capacities of human beings: intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner. And that is possible only when we make experiential learning as an integral part of higher education. Learning itself is a very fascinating experience, as it leads to change for improved performance and change for future learning. But learning is an integrated process. It is not the outcome of a single element. Learning in a formal setup is the summation of 4 types of learning. One is the guided learning, when the teacher is teaching and the students are learning. The another one is the inter-learner learning or the peer learning, when the students are interacting amongst themselves and learning lot many things. The third type of learning is the self-learning, excuse me, where we provide the instructional material in the form of reference books, guides, manuals, and the students are learning themselves from that. The fourth type of learning is the experiential learning. One of the basic realities of teaching and learning is that one cannot accurately predict the occurrence of these 4 types of learning, even in the best of the circumstances, as it depends upon a plethora of factors: commitment of students, quality of teachers, quality of instructional material, the passion, and the institutional ethos that we create, institutional ambience. General experience shows that in most of the conventional program at undergraduate level, there is hardly any effort made to promote experiential learning. It is so because the focus of curriculum developers remain more on guided learning and self-learning. But now we have entered in a phase which provides us an opportunity to address some of these critical questions which hitherto have remained unanswered. One big basic question that has not been answered in full is about the holistic development of university graduates through experiential learning. But the National Education Policy 2020 has provided us an opportunity. It has specifically recommended about the holistic development of university graduates by integrating the component of internship across all curricular provisions. The concept of working as an intern began long time ago, but it has remained confined only in selected areas of study in our country actually. The NEP 2020 has widened the scope of internship across the programs at all levels of higher education. NEP has envisaged the integration of research component in a 4-year degree program. This calls for developing a system of offering research internship to undergraduate students. NEP has explicitly mentioned that as a part of holistic education, students at all higher educational institutions will be provided with opportunities for internships with local industry, businesses, artists, communities, NGOs, as well as research internship with faculty and researchers. National education policy has envisioned that students should actively engage with the practical side of their learning, and as a byproduct, they should improve their employability. The concept of internship in education is twofold, which we need to understand. One is to provide experiential learning opportunity, and another is to familiarize the graduates with the real world wherein they have to work. Internship is a professional learning experience which offers meaningful practical work related to a student's field of study or his or her area of interest. Internship is a short-term work experience offered by different organizations. It may be paid or non-paid assignment depending upon the interest of the service providers. It provides us an opportunity to work with accomplished professionals. Internship offers an invaluable opportunity for students to network and build crucial professional connections before they even graduate. For some students, it is a stepping stone to bonus opportunities within the same organization, including a full-time job. This is what happens in the professional programs. When the students go for the internship, for their internship in an organization, they develop connections. They display their potential, and as a result of which, they are taken as an employee within the same organization where they have done their internship. There could be numerous possibilities for the undergraduate programs. One is academic internship, which means any work experience that is integrated into an academic program, whether as a requirement or as an elective. Most common may include research internship, community engagement internship, business internship, industry internships, marketing internships, and there could be many more like advertising internships, finance internships, fine or performing arts internship, legal internships, technology internships, PR internships. Some could be on location internships and some could be even virtual internships. Internships provide right kind of exposure to the graduates of the real world. It provides a platform to the graduates to establish critical networking connections. It equips students with more than just technical skills, actually. It also provides an opportunity to the learners to know about himself, what kind of metal do they have. Real experience during the internship provides a competitive edge to the learners. How do they adjust themselves? How do they acclimatize themselves in a newer situation? It provides professional experience. It also helps acquire transferable skills, develops new skills, and refine other skills. It provides insights for a prospective career path. Networks, it allows them to develop network with professionals in the field of their interest. Insofar as research internship is concerned, because now we have a 4-year undergraduate program, institutionalization of research internship at undergraduate level is expected to play a pivotal role in catalyzing interdisciplinary research culture. Research internship will provide opportunities to students to enhance their research capabilities, their employabilities, as also career development. It will help prepare future researchers and thus give a fillip to research culture in our educational institutions. It will This would obviously call for research internship framework, which we as teachers will have to develop. We should provide for greater flexibility about the selection of topics, selection of supervisors, even from across the higher educational institutions. The research internship program should be interactive and conceptualized, building research skills amongst the students. Teachers will have to play the key role as mentors in promoting research thinking amongst the students. They will have to conceptualize flexible internship programs during the weekdays to experience the real world. Bringing people of different communities together could be part of the internship. Educating community about issues of social significance. And here, I mean, the symbiotic relationship between Professor Vimal and Professor Govil is of paramount significance, providing solutions to the problems of community, actually, suggesting means of sustainable development, and organizing talks on common health issues. The developing understanding about the needs of different organizations, networking with different organizations and different people to gain variegated experience, making videos of people engaged in different professions and try to understand how different arms of their organizations organize different events, understanding the business interest of different organizations and integrate their business interest into a tour experience for visitors. Organizing of sports events for youth, organizing activities. There could be many, many more actually. But now what is critical about is the role of the teachers as mentors, as Professor Bimal has very rightly identified. The concept of mentoring looks simple, but its successful implementation can be very challenging. Teachers will have to help not only in project development, but also its successful execution. They will have to build confidence amongst the students that they can do it. They will have to help them in decision-making whilst choosing the project. They will have to instill amongst the students the abilities of problem solving and critical thinking. Because when they will be in the field, they will be on their own and they will have to take certain decisions on the spur of a moment. Teachers will have to provide guidance, motivation, emotional support, and role modeling. They will have to help the students in setting goals, developing contexts, identifying right kinds of resources, and exploring careers. They will have to act as supporters and guides. Teachers will have to remain constantly in touch with the students. It's not that they have suggested a topic or a research topic or any other subject, and then they leave them on their own. They will have to solve problems of students which they may be encountering whilst they are there in the field. They will have to remain actively engaged in the field with a view to providing constructive feedback to individual students. And they will have to ensure that there is a trust, confidentiality, mutual respect, and sensitivity throughout the process. They will have to work with the students as if they are also the members of their team, as if they are also going to contribute to the growth and development of the institution where they are doing the internship. They will have to enlighten the students about ethical values. They will have to provide the students references of resource persons in the field. Teachers will have to monitor and evaluate the progress of individual students on a continuous basis throughout the internship period. And which is why I have said that though it looks simple, but it is successful execution could be very, very challenging. Higher education, my dear friends, must become more and more flexible to meet the demands of this dynamic world. And since industries are continuously moving towards things like automation, higher education will have to adjust this dynamic and challenging environment. It would require shifting of focus to lifelong learning rather than acquiring just information and simple knowledge during a specific program to increase the employability. Efforts should be made to expose undergraduate students to a multidisciplinary and broad-based curriculum with research component. Undergraduate students be made to pursue courses outside their immediate field of specialization in order to have wider world view. While they can continue their core discipline like chemistry honors or physics honors or mathematics honors or history honors, but at the same time, they should also have a wider world view. And that is what one of the purposes of switching over from 3-year undergraduate program to a 4-year undergraduate program. Creativity and innovation should be the driving force of higher education. So, as teachers, I would like to conclude by saying we have a task in hand to understand clearly the intent of National Education Policy 2020, whereby it has recommended for the promotion of holistic education by way of creating opportunities for internships with local community, industry, and business houses. It would surely, I believe, give a new orientation to higher education, provided we do it in right earnest. With these brief observations and remarks and interventions, I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to my valued colleagues, Professor Jaswinder Singh, Professor Bakshi, Professor Vimal, and Professor Jyotsna for having given me this opportunity to be with you this morning from US. So over to Vimal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us on this theme. And you very well spoke about it, how it will be helping in employability skills of the students. But then you rightly mentioned about the challenges of teachers as mentors, and how then we have to be taking the role of building confidence in the students, even including emotional counseling, how we have to now do the networking with various industries, society, NGOs, or other job opportunities, whether they are in the marketing field or in the technical, or even you mentioned about the virtual internship. So all these, I think they are giving us good ideas to work upon. And each teacher, I think, will have to be innovative in this front. So what we are proposing here is just a drop of the ocean of new opportunities that we have to be creating in terms of offering to the students. And thank you so much, sir, for giving us an overview on these things. And taking things further, and please, I'm sure you will be, although it is very late for you, but we request to be with us so that at the end, if there are any question answers. So as you please, sir, with Prakash, sir. And before that, Principal sir will also like to say a few words to Ved Prakash sir, and then maybe
no, if Professor Ved Prakash is staying, we know it is very late for him because he is already in the in a different time zone and in New York. Sir, if you are willing to stay back, then we can take the questions together at the end, or if you are excusing yourself, then we can.
I think it's very late for me, Professor Jaswinder.
I understand. So I
would love to. I think Professor Bakshi and you can hold the fort.
Hanji. No, sir, thank you very much. And it is really, I think, especially, you know, the area under undergraduate courses or undergraduate education in the non-professional arena, the highlights that you have given us, I'm sure, you know, every institution should try to follow that. And we, of course, when you come back, would like to involve you in a much more participative manner also. And we are extremely grateful on behalf of the GAD-TLC for giving us this talk. Thank you very much. And we will be sharing this, if you permit us, with others, since it is being recorded. And some of us, you know, the institutes, you know, who may not have the opportunity to listen to you directly, we can give them your recorded talks also.
The only thing that, Professor Jaswinder, I would like to reiterate once again, though I have said it, but there is no harm, even at the cost of repetition. This policy has given us an opportunity to strengthen this component, to integrate it in our existing curricular provision, and to institutionalize it, regardless of the nature of discipline. See, until now we were thinking that it is only the medicine, it is only the technology where we need internship. Internship is required in every domain of knowledge. So whether we are pursuing humanities or social sciences or language, it is extremely necessary. It shows us the world actually, where we have to live. And therefore, I would earnestly request the teachers of all the disciplines to take this very seriously and develop a framework on their own. They need not wait for anybody, but they should develop a framework and they should strengthen this component. Because what happens when we had graduated, let me tell you, and you will pardon me for that, some of, I think I'm the oldest in this group, we were not able to articulate. We were very hesitant. Though we knew the subject, but we were never ever taught the art of communication. And without language, without communication, you cannot make a place for yourself. So this is extremely necessary, extremely important. And these kinds of skills will get developed when we go into the field, we interact with people from different backgrounds. We come to know what are the concerns of the Indian Cancer Society and what good can we do to the people by way of associating ourselves with an NGO like that of Jyotsna. What are other areas of concern for the mankind where we can contribute and contribute very significantly? And each student has his or her own interest. So they can identify the areas of their interest. Teachers will have to help them to connect them, to provide them the right kind of resource persons. So I think this is the problem with the teachers, that once we get the floor, we do not stop. Let me stop by saying it once again, that in every domain of knowledge, let us institutionalize this component. It will help us to improve the environment. It will help us to improve the community health. It will help us in variety of ways. So that is the only appeal that I would like to make to my younger colleagues. So thank you very much, Professor Jaswinder, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Professor
sir.
Vimal, I would like to congratulate you that you have picked up this very vital component of the national education policy, and that you are building on it. Heartiest congratulations to you, and may God bless you and wish you all the very best. Let me also wish all the very best to all the participants of this program, and from me is good night, and for you, have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, and have a good night. Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And we are really blessed to have your words of wisdom with us. Thank you. And moving ahead now, I think what this entire theme of experiential learning is going to provide opportunities for the student is build the 21st century skills. And that's where I will request Professor A.K. Bakshi, a well-known, again, renowned speaker, Vice Chancellor, PDM University, Bahadurgarh, Haryana, and chairman of our centers, and also former executive director, Tertiary Education Commission, former vice chancellors, UPRTU. Again, he has a very distinguished profile, but then being very brief, I think he needs no introduction. You all entire, at least in our GAD-TLC participant group, they're all aware. So welcome, sir, again. And always it's a true delight to listen to you. And I'm looking forward that how we will be listening from you that experiential learning in the light of NEP 2020, also preparing the students in the 21st century skills, and how as teachers, I think we are looking for a way ahead. So welcome, sir, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Vimal, for your very kind words of introduction. esteemed Professor Ved Prakash ji, Madam Jyotsna Govil ji, Dr. Jaswinder Singh, of course, Dr. Professor Vimal, and dear participants from all over the country. It's indeed a great honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on experiential learning. I'm very happy that this webinar is being organized. And for this, I would like to congratulate Professor Vimal, Professor Jaswinder Singh, and their entire team for choosing this topic, because it's perhaps for the first time that we are holding a webinar on this theme. As a matter of fact, I feel Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center has made a mark in coming out with new ideas about various faculty development programs. That has been very creative for all of us. For example, a few days back, we had a faculty development program in Hindi language only, which was also very much appreciated. And I'm very happy that the response to this webinar has been tremendous. As I am told, more than 2,500 registrations have been done for this program. So that speaks volumes about our Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. Coming to the topic of this webinar, that is the experiential learning. Although I have never spoken about this topic any time earlier, but still I worked, and I would like to share some of my thoughts about experiential learning. So let me first of all share my screen. So this is the title of my talk, Experiential Learning, the Future of Learning for the 21st Century Needs. You know, this talk has been designed in 3 parts. In part 1, I will speak about the 21st century learning needs. You know, you all will agree that learning is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and personality. By personality, I mean values, attitude, traits, disposition, etc. Through study, experience, or being taught. That is how we acquire learning. And there are, 3 types of education. And the learning is lifelong. Whether it is the formal education, as we have in our schools, colleges, universities, etc., or informal or non-formal. We learn from all the 3 types of education. So we can say that learning is a continuous process from childhood onwards. That is lifelong learning. Learning is a journey, not a destination. We have to keep it in mind. And one must also keep it in mind that there are 3 domains of human learning. Either through head, that is the cognitive domain, or through hand, that is the psychomotor domain, or through heart, that is the affective domain. So cognitive domain leads to thinking. Affective domain leads to feeling, emotions. And psychomotor domain leads to, as you can see, doing. That is the skills, etc. Physical. So that is what we say. There are 3 types of educations and 3 domains of learning. So in the 21st century, quality education focuses on three things. One is educate knowledge. You should have disciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge, and practical knowledge. Then you should have 21st century skills. And the third is, as we mentioned, personality. All these three things taken together constitute quality education. And this is what one needs in order to thrive and succeed in the modern world. And this quality education, which is a holistic education, is also the basis of sustainable development. Now you may ask, what are these 21st century skills which have suddenly become so important? You know, these 21st century skills are a set of abilities which our students must have in order to succeed in the modern world. They come under three categories: learning skills, which include critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Then we have literacy skills, which include information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. And the third is the life skills. That is the flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. Taken together, these are 12 skills which are going to play a very important role in the 21st century. And it is said that these are going to be the deciding factor for placement in this information age. You know why they are important? Because we are living in an age of artificial intelligence. You can have machines with the same intelligence as you, but you cannot have machines with these skills. You can't have a machine which is critically thinking. You can't have a machine which is creative, or you can't have a machine which has leadership quality. So all those who have these skills will have an edge over others. Please remember, skill development continues to be a major concern in India. The need for skilled workforce is increasing day by day. Unfortunately, we have not been focusing much on skills, although we have Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship in the Government of India. And now you must have seen that there is also Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University which has come up. So the focus is slowly shifting towards the development of skills. And even many companies all over the world, they are hiring people who have skills, even though they may not have degrees. So this is the new trend which has come out. Please remember, our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children. We need to train them for all the challenges of the 21st century, and this can be done through quality education. India is one of the youngest nations of the world. 50% of the population is less than 25 years, and 65% less than 35 years. So if we are able to provide them quality education, we will have an edge over the others. And one more thing which I would like to mention, that knowledge, skills, and personality, especially the proactive personality, taken together constitute competence of an individual. That is why even in the new education policy and everywhere, people talk about competency-based education and competency-based assessment. That means we should not only teach, but also test knowledge, skills, and personality development. Unfortunately, we have been focusing mainly on knowledge. Skills and personality development get relegated to background. That should not happen. We need to focus on the competence of our individuals. There is a report that 87% of all people fail, not because of capability, but because of personality. Personality is something which we neglect, but we forget that this plays a very important role in your professional growth. So this is what I want to say in part 1. In part 2 now, in continuation to what I have said, I would like to share some of my thoughts about experiential learning. You know, there are two main approaches to learning in formal education. One is the teacher-centered learning, what we normally teach as talk and chalk method. Here, aim is to explain knowledge or skills by transferring information. We only transfer information, and then students make out the things out of that. Second is the learner-centered learning. Where comes the experiential learning? Here, aim is to develop knowledge and skills through experience. Now, teacher-learner-centered learning, that is the talk and chalk method, you all know has many limitations. It is teacher-centric, it is mainly a monologue method. Students are merely the passive listeners. They take down the notes. You can't explain many things on the board. So many things are there. And generally, this focuses on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. But learner-centered learning is of a different approach. The difference between the two methods is how you engage the learners. That's the real difference. Please remember, learning is never the product of teaching. Learning is the product of activity of the learners. So we need to focus on engaging the learners. The thinking behind learner-centric education is that students learn best when they are engrossed in the topic, motivated to seek out new knowledge and skills, because they need them in order to solve the problems at hand. And this is possible in this information age. Anything you want, just by the click of a mouse, you can get any information. That is why learner-centric education is becoming more and more popular in the 21st century. Now, experiential learning is a learner-centric education. We want our children not only to learn, but also learn how to learn. The basis of experiential learning is I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. It's a well-known quote from Confucius, who said that I do and I understand. That means you understand more by doing. That's the basis of experiential learning. And fostering experiential learning and critical thinking among students is an important objective of the National Education Policy 2020. According to this policy, experiential learning needs to be adopted at all levels in formal education, starting from school education. So the challenges are enormous, but this is the background. Experiential learning, in a way you can say, is a broad category of teaching methods and activities that involve the learner in the learning process. It's a very creative approach to modern curriculum. But in this entire process of learning, the role of a teacher becomes very important, because here teacher's role is to facilitate the learning process. But how to facilitate, that itself is a big challenge. Why experiential learning is so important? You know, this is the retention rates of various learning methods, as you can see. A lecturer, when you deliver a lecture in the class, average retention rate is 5%. But in the experiential learning, where you do the things, where you practice by doing, the retention rate is 75%. So you can very well understand why this is the need of the hour. And there are retention rates for other methods also. But this experiential learning has an advantage. Look at the fact. If you have to study about animals from a book, or you compare and you visit a zoo and learn through the observation and interaction with the zoo environment, which will be more beneficial? Naturally, your visit to the zoo will give you a lot of learning. So that is an experiential learning. You know, while we were young, people used to play hopscotch, what we say stapu. These games can teach many valuable lessons. Again, it is an experiential learning. And the father of experiential learning was actually Kolb's. He was an American educational psychologist. He stated that experiential learning takes place in 4 stages. You know, these stages have become very popular. One is, for example, concrete experience. That means you do or having an experience. Then is reflective observation. That means you review or reflect on the experience which you had. Third is, as you can see, abstract conceptualization, where you conclude or what you learn from the experience. And the fourth is active experimentation. You plan or try out what you have learned. So this is an experiential learning cycle. In the simple form, it is written on the right. You can see the first is do it. Second is what? That means what happened? What were the result after you did it? Third is so what? What do these results imply? How do I influence the outcome? And the fourth is what will I do differently next time? So these are the 4 stages of experiential learning. You don't have to follow in this order. You can start from any one, but that is how experiential learning takes place. Look at this simple fact. You know, I tell you, for example, you are learning a software program. Active experimentation, maybe you start the software and perform the functions. That is active experimentation. Second is reflective observation. That means you think about what you just performed. And the third is abstract conceptualization. That is reading the instruction manual to get a clearer grasp on what was performed. And the fourth is concrete experience. That is using the help feature to get some expert tips. So anything you may do first, but these are the 4 stages through which experiential learning takes place. Similarly, the case with riding a bicycle, the same 4 stages come. Now I will come to the last part, and that is what are the various methods of experiential learning. Please remember, experiential learning comprises of learning activities, both inside and outside the classroom, that are designed to actively engage students to learn by doing, and then reflecting on the process and experience and actively creating their own understanding. I think this very clearly summarizes experiential learning. It's highly personalized. Experience may vary from one person to the other. So in experiential learning, you do not learn from experience. You learn from your reflection on that experience. And it is totally different from our talk and chalk method, where we learn by rote. You know, these are the various types of experiential learning. Each one of these methods is an experience in itself. Problem-based learning, project-based learning, case studies, inquiry-based learning, flipped classroom model, which is becoming very popular. Then collaborative learning, think, pair, and share strategy. This is a new method. Then community outreach, as we are going to talk about this cancer awareness. you carry out a program in the society. So it's a community outreach program. Then you also learn from international travel, cultural exchanges, museum tours, then internship, about which Professor Ved Prakash mentioned. Then we also have UG research program. All these will come under the types of experiential learning. And the list is still very, very long. This is not a complete list. That is the reason, if you look at the leading universities of the world, look at Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton, most of them have a big focus on case studies, project-based and problem-based learning, and very little focus on lecture-based learning. In India, we continue to focus on lecture-based learning. We have to shift that focus. Please remember, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we are going to rob them of tomorrow. We will have to change ourselves with the changing times. Teachers must change with the changing times. Look at the simple question. In traditional learning, what we do, we tell the student what they need to know. They memorize it. And then a problem is assigned to illustrate how to use what they have memorized. That is generally the focus of traditional learning. In problem-based learning, a problem is assigned, then the student identifies what he or she needs to know in order to solve the problem. Then the student learns and applies all that to solve the problem. So it is a problem-based learning. It's a different type of experience for you. The same is the case with the project-based learning. You have to solve a question, you do research, you gather information, you analyze information, you derive knowledge from the information, then you demonstrate what is learned, and like that you write a project report. Again, it is a different type of experience. Collaborative learning, I have some idea, you have some idea, we have the best idea coming out. This is becoming another very important method which comes under experiential learning. Think, pair, share, TPS. Think means you are given a question. So what do you know about this? What are your experience? What you think about that? That is you as an individual. Then you are paired with someone. Then you listen to other person's ideas, you share your ideas, you create new ideas together. So something new comes out. Then you share with the other class. You listen to each other's ideas and then create new ideas together. So it promotes participation, focuses attention, and engages students. So this is a TPS strategy. It's like turning your classroom into a collaborative learning community. But then the role of the teacher becomes very important. The teacher has to play a very important role in this. Then flipped classroom, which is becoming very popular these days. A teacher creates a video lecture on any topic and shares it with the student. Students will watch the video lecture at home. And then student will prepare questions for the teacher. Look at the fact, different type of experience. Watch it 2-3 times, prepare questions for the teacher, then at the school or at the university, teacher will facilitate discussion, answer the students' questions, student will ask the questions and participate in the learning activities. So a different type of experience, a different type of focus, and the focus is on higher order thinking skills. Because cognitive learning is a 6-level hierarchy. Any learning should take you from remembering, understanding up to creativity. So in flipped classroom, you can focus on higher order thinking skills. But the role again of a teacher becomes very important. And then, internship, about which Professor Ved Prakash also mentioned, and this is also an experiential learning activity. Student internship. Here, individuals are placed in a working environment on a temporary basis. The idea is to bridge the gap between a strictly academic setting and a real workplace environment. That means interns get to see knowledge in action. That is the meaning of internship. And These are now very popular. National Education Policy Framework talks about this, and there are many benefits of doing internship. You gain valuable work experience. You can explore a career path. It gives yourself an edge in the job market. Internship improves your CV. You can network with professionals in the field. You can receive even the financial compensation. You could get a reference or a letter of recommendation from the person with whom you are doing the work. Internship ensures learning and you gain confidence. So it's also a type of experiential learning. And then lastly, I will just finish it. Now the question comes how to implement experiential learning in the classroom. That's a big, big challenge. I am a teacher of chemistry, you are maybe of economics or commerce or political science. So any lesson you prepare, you have to identify the learning objectives. You have to be very clear. Then you have to plan the specific learning activities which will help in achieving the learning objective. So this is a big challenge, not very easy. And then you have to plan to assess students' understanding also. And then plan to sequence the lesson in an engaging and meaningful manner. Create a realistic timeline, and then plan for a lesson closure. So you have to really work hard. We have to change with the changing time. I know we have never done all these things, but we will have to prepare ourselves. We will need to design activities and assignments that challenge the student's mind, enhance creative thinking ability, improve analytical skills, and give students more control over their learning. But who will help in designing these activities and assignments? The teachers. So without our being prepared for this, nothing much can be achieved. So there is a need in the country, I personally feel, of regular professional development for experiential learning is the need of the hour. I always believe that professional development is a journey and not a destination. The way the things are changing, we should have these professional development courses on a regular basis. And then we also need a change of mindset in our teachers. From what I know is enough, our mindset should become, I must learn more. We should have interdisciplinary in our thinking, upskilling and learner, and we should also become tech savvy. It is said, the problem in India's education system is we have 21st century students, but we teach 19th century content many times. The methods of teaching are of the 20th century. Again, talk and chalk, rote learning, examining student one against the other like that. And the course's architecture is 19th century. We must change. And this at the micro level change can be brought about only by the teacher. That's why the famous Dulé quote is, we do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. E plus R is equal to L. That means experience plus reflection equals learning. That's basically what is experiential learning. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I will be happy to answer your queries later on. Thanks and all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think all of us were just glued to your session. It was like it should continue, but then we have limitation of time. So you rightly mentioned about the 3 domains of learning, how not only knowledge, but the 21st century skills and personality makes a difference to mold a student into a holistic citizen of the country, yet ready to work globally on the professional levels. And you also mentioned the emphasis on the competence-based assessments, and then how it has to be, when we talk about experiential learning, I think the role of teacher as facilitator, engaging the learnings, I think is the key, that is understanding by doing. And That can happen with variety of things, including the internship model, which you mentioned, and where the knowledge in action and how I think on regular basis, as teachers, we have to be continuously building. And the last statement that you mentioned, I think reflecting on experience, I think is more important than just giving the experience to the students. So thank you so much for your kind guidance in this front. And let me now move further, that when we are now starting this innovative and unique FTPs, that we will be further on looking for the theme, and we are inviting all of you to work around these in your own areas, connect with the industries, connect with NGOs or any other organization, or on own. So we have to be creating some model, and then those models with a collaborative effort that we have started can be then taken to each and every classroom. So it is not that only this is there. As I said, it's just a drop in the sea of opportunities that we have to create. So just some ideas that we have concretized and will be taking. So what in these FDPs broadly is, we have evolved the understanding, and I thank ICS team and also Professor Sarita Pasi from Zakir Hussain College, my colleague, who is helping me in conceptualizing the entire chemistry FDP. And along with that, we are approaching many academicians who have worked in those particular areas, and we'll be looking also within 1 week if you can also get back to us, especially on the chemistry front, because in ICS we already have the team of experts, but on the chemistry theme I will be looking for my dear colleagues to give some inputs, and we will be taking it further. So how this has been planned is, I think there are 2 phases in this FDP. Phase 1 is where the teachers are developed as mentors for student internship on a particular theme, and theme will vary from program to program, subject to subject, looking at the requirement of the students. And the requirement of the students will be variety, because we have so many learners in the classroom. Some will be inclined to industry, some in teaching profession, some going into volunteership, some going into NGOs, some going into marketing field, to name a few. So for successful completion of this phase 1, the teacher will be getting FDP certificate as eligible for CAS requirement of UGC and AICT, as we are already mandated. And this also in isolation will be building the teachers around that very particular theme. But now in phase 2, they will be implementing it at 2 levels, one at their own institution level, and other it can be community or the students going into some industry, working with some NGO in a guided way. And so on successful completion here, there will be like twofold benefit. One, the teacher will be given mentor certificate at the end of phase 2. This will be over and above the FDP certificate. For mentoring a group of 5 students, you can opt for more also, but the details and conditions we will be circulating in the detailed brochure and the poster. Also, the students on completion of phase 2 will be getting the internship certificate, which will be recognized by a particular NGO or industry, or on a standalone, depending upon various strict conditions, and not only from the theme point of view, but in terms of rubrics of assessments, the presentation which these groups will do. So the teacher will be actually guided not only in front of these themes, but how different type of assessments and evaluation. And as Professor Bakshi rightly mentioned, that reflective thinking is something where we have to be focusing. So in that reflective thinking, I think the student teacher group will be really taking it further. And this is a particular hand-holded program where all the recorded videos of phase 1 trimmed down to the students' requirement, other materials, guided activities, what reports they have to give, all the templates, what photograph they have to go when they go in society or some outreach program, and all the regular hand holding within those 3 to 4 months will also be done through the various platforms. All the content will be on LMS, and there will be some monthly live meetings with those teachers who will be enrolling in phase 1. So this is how we are proposing to go ahead. And in this direction, as I mentioned, we are immediately rolling out 2 programs. One is the FTP for cancer awareness, where teachers will be developed as mentors for student internship on cancer awareness. And the other is on safer and greener chemistry. This I will come later. And now we have, especially when we talk about this cancer awareness theme, community outreach is what is being targeted on with this. And in NAP also, as part of various institutional requirements, we have to be taking various activities. Many activities all of us are already doing at institution level, but now this will also help in that way where it can be helping you. And for this now, I will request and invite Madam Jyotsna Govilji, the chairperson, Indian Cancer Society, a Delhi-based NGO. She has been working in the cancer control area for nearly 38 years now. She is a self-taught expert and mentor to ICS Delhi for training and awareness, screening and patient support. Volunteers of this branch have delivered on all fronts around this theme. ICS has been doing sterling work in fighting cancer across India. It has been and it continues to be a beacon of hope for thousands of underprivileged cancer patients. ICS connects the community to reliable cancer services and prevention efforts, and through awareness and screening, the conquest of cancer is by choice and not by chance. IC has developed cancer awareness MOOC, self-paced MOOC, which are available on SWAM portal. You can all enroll, and some of these in the small part we will be also sharing in the part of FDP to the student volunteers who will go in field and work in this theme. And Mrs. Govil believes that cancer awareness is vital in the conquest of cancer. And the NEP, I think we are looking as an opportunity to grow in this theme. So we had really a good association with ICS when we started almost, I think, 4 or 5 years back on preparing this course. And now we have concretized it in a different dimension. So thank you so much, ma'am, to you and your team for taking this initiative further. And with your banner, I think the entire education community can also become a part of this change which is happening. So I request you to please join and say a few words about this theme, please. Chirag, please, madam.
He's done that.
Right,
Thank
right.
you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And it's really very humbling to follow 2 great educationists as Professor Ved Prakash and Professor Bakshi. And I thank another great woman, Vimal Rar, who has been a collaborator and a friend to ICS over the last 4 or 5 years. I'll start with telling you a little bit about our activity in Indian Cancer Society. We undertake our work on 4 different platforms. Number 1, it will always be cancer awareness, because without awareness, there is nothing else that flows from that. Cancer screening is the next part of our work. We have a cancer detection center, as well as vans that go out across the country and where we deliver cancer screening facilities. We are also in various hospitals. You can see our hospital volunteers. You'll see Usha Ori on the right wearing her belt to keep upright, but nothing stops her from going into the hospital and talking to patients. Finally, there is Prashanti, which is our healing center, where children, like the little fellow there with the laddus in his hand, come for a morning of fun and frolic away from a hospital environment, and where parents as well as children sit down to a simple home-cooked meal. I just want to say that if I was to ask you, how many of you are familiar with cancer? I think that almost every hand will go up. You either had it yourself, or you have cared for somebody who has had it, or you have known of somebody else who has had it, but everyone is familiar with the word cancer. Our difficulty lies in moving beyond the word to an understanding of what cancer is all about. Now, I have listened very carefully to Dr. Ved Prakash and to Professor Bakshi, and I see their recognition of the fact that you have to work with head and heart and hand before you really get to the bottom of what we call understanding and of dealing with a problem. ICS Delhi has worked a very long time in providing awareness to the community. We pride ourselves on the fact that for nearly 4 decades now, we have taken awareness into the community. We go into schools and colleges, we go into ITIs, we go into the community itself, and we listen and talk. I use that advisedly. We listen and then we talk. Because until we really understand the extent of the problem, we are unable to deal with it effectively. We also have, with the help of Vimal, managed to go on to the Swayam platform and put our course on cancer fundamentals there. Ironically, it was uploaded on the very day that the first lockdown for COVID was instituted in this country. Whatever the reasons, we already have about 10,000 students who have gone through that course and who, I hope, have a better understanding of what we are talking about. We try that people get to have a practical understanding of what is being studied. And as both the learned gentlemen before me have said, that we ask people to go and do something before we qualify them as our trainers. Our regular training courses have equipped hundreds of women and men in smaller numbers, but a lot of women with the skills, the understanding of what cancer is all about. And cancer is such a multidimensional issue that it is of importance to every single stream of people who is in the field. As university professors, it comes to everyone that you are dealing with the sciences, with the arts, with the humanities, with the commercial aspect. And believe me, cancer covers all of these aspects. It's not merely that you do a learning of cancer, the disease, that is important, and that is something that you will learn about in our course now. It is also that you can adapt it to your economics courses with the economy of cancer, the number of work days lost due to cancer, the importance of early detection in saving those work days. It is also important for you to know in the humanities scheme what the mind-body connection is. What is it that you are going to learn that will help you to deal with all those aspects where the mind can determine the outcome of a disease? On the one hand, we talk of cancer as a curable non-communicable disease. On the other, we talk about it as something that is distressing. So it is important to learn what both these aspects are. What about literature? There's any amount of books based on cancer. I think all of you have heard about The Emperor of All Maladies, which Siddhartha Mukherjee has written. It is a magnum opus. But there are so many books which have cancer as its central theme. And it would make life very interesting to hear what somebody else's experiences are all about. But then we are also expecting that you go out, that before you ask your students to do an internship, that you go out and discover some of these realities yourself. Because what will you teach unless you really know? So our course modalities are touching on all these schemes. You will learn about how cancer affects each one of us, whether ourselves, our families, our friends, the larger community. When you go out into the field, you will discover the extent of suffering and of pain and of how people deal with it. The bravery of people dealing with cancer is really remarkable. Ordinary people who still come long distances from small towns and villages to the treatment centers, come in on buses and trains, take their treatment, and return home the very same evening. So when we talk about the bureaucratic delays which delay their getting the treatment that they need immediately, is a very real concern. You will hear from our volunteers, all of whom have learned about cancer on their own, through their own experience. They will talk to you on all these subjects. The government of India recognizes 3 major cancers, but believe me, there are 200 identifiable cancers. Some of them are rare cancers, but the suffering is no less. The suffering is not rare. So therefore, it is important for you to be reading and studying much more than we will be able to deliver in this project. You have 4 years to teach your subject. You have 4 years to develop a program. We have 5 days. So if you find that this is very heavy going, it's not surprising. We have tried to make it as simple as possible so that every one of you is engaged in what we are doing. But we expect that you are going to be doing a lot of the work yourself, as Professor Bakshi remarked. We think that what we are doing for you is just nudging the door open. We are giving you a glimpse of what these few cancers are about. On day 4, you will move from the disease itself to hand-holding and the emotional aspect of dealing with cancer. You will have many more than one speaker that day, because many of our survivors have come forward to share an experience with you, whether it is of being a cancer patient themselves, or whether it is quite literally hand-holding a loved one, being a caregiver to somebody else. So please don't miss that session. It is a very, very important one. And finally, we are trying to give you an overview of the non-communicable diseases and of universal health care. You'll wonder what this has to do with cancer, but as you listen to our speakers, you will understand what it is all about. Projects. Projects are the heart of this entire program. as Professor Ved Prakash and Dr. Bakshi have both expressed, until you do, you cannot understand what it is all about. You have a choice of projects, many things that anyone can pick up and do. Some may seem simple to you, others will require some legwork. And we hope that you will enjoy doing it. Enjoy in the sense of feel validated in what you are doing. And it is important that you do before you understand. So God bless you all. We are all very excited about this project of ours, and we hope that you will be too at the end of these 5 days. We will always be there for you to question, to bring all your doubts to, and we will always be there, ready and willing to handle anything that you throw at us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing the theme of this FDP, where the teachers will be made aware, and then with the help of students, they can really be engaged, engaging their students into community outreach program. And the very important point that you mentioned from academician point of view, not from the theme point of view, that is really the cancer, I think it touches all of us and our near and dear ones. But then two important things which I could take away from educational perspective point of view is, I think, the listen and talk. So when we are working in groups with these students, so how they will be developing these skills when they are listening to going to health institutions or some cancer patient, or even interacting with their community, with their family. And also, as you mentioned, this is an interdisciplinary problem. You mentioned that how economic students can learn from this, humanities, the science students will be having a different approach. So in that way, I think this will be a true interdisciplinary approach that we will be having a problem. And that's what we say, that real life problems, they will give you all flavors rather than working in silos for different subjects as we do in higher education. And that is another highlight of NEP 2020, which through this also will be somewhat achieved. So I'm really anxiously waiting that when we roll out this poster by tomorrow or day after tomorrow to our fellow colleagues, all who are joining, and they are requested to please share this further. All subject teachers are going to enjoy this two-phase activity, and it will be something which will be a really meaningful activity then. Let me now go further and talk about my own chemistry FDP as well. And in general, I think when we talk about graduate outcomes, it is not only the disciplinary knowledge, but communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, analytical reasoning, research related skills, cooperation or teamwork, scientific reasoning, reflective thinking, information digital literacy, self-directed learning, multicultural competence, moral and ethical awareness or reasoning, leadership readiness qualities, lifelong learning. I think so when these students are working in group through these type of activities, there is so much around these 15 pointers which UGC has given for us. We can really aim to go near touching them, which also in the UGC curricular framework of credit system, now the emphasis is on skill enhancement, where out of 10 credits, at least 6 credit job specific internship or apprenticeship have been mentioned in almost every year. So, and also I will like to mention that there is a clear-cut mention in this UGC curriculum framework, which I'll request all my colleagues to see on the UGC website, where it emphasizes, apart from many other things which NEP 2020 is emphasizing, on environmental and sustainability issues, knowledge, skills, attitude, and values, environmental degradation, climate change, pollution, effective waste management, community engagement and service, and mentoring school students, and the gap between the higher education and school education, where the higher education systems have to do the hand-holding of school education. So around these themes, one more humble effort, we are evolving this teachers as mentors for student internship on safer and greener chemistry lab. Now, this will be only for chemistry and allied discipline teachers. The theme is on the chemistry lab, but yes, my bio colleagues or biochemistry or anyone who is dealing with the chemicals, I think they are most welcome to join. And this again, as usual, will be a flexible online mode FDP having 2 phases, where 1 phase you will complete in this theme. And in second phase, there will be 2 level analysis that we'll be doing. One will be at our institution level in higher education or the immediate, here I also invite some school education teachers, especially class 11th and 12th chemistry teachers who are willing to join. So immediately they look and make analysis in terms of these, whether it is the safety symbols and usage of MSDS for every chemical, prevention of accidents and case studies, mentions first aid measures, environment friendly approaches, the 5 R's, chemical waste management, specifically on a greater emphasis, the greener methods in UG and school level. We will be discussing on various examples of chemistry experiments, their reuse, and evolving better practices at institution of the teacher, which can be higher education or school, hand-holding of other schools, that is chemistry labs, sharing of chemistry lab resources to schools. If we have prepared some product, which rather than pasting in sample and putting it in drain, I think we should store and try to analyze in our school education system or in our own where that can be used. And we will be presenting some models already. And those who, my chemistry colleagues who are here, if you have some ideas, please share them immediately within a week, because we are finalizing all the sessions. And when we give this as a student project, the expectation is the group of students will be going to other 5 schools and trying to analyze what are the gaps, and this team will be then trying to improve not only the chemistry lab environment of the higher education institution from where the teacher belongs, but also from those schools, and sharing of resources, because many times it has been seen that chemistry labs in some setup, they are also devoid of having any chemicals, and sometimes at higher education we are having good resources, so or even waste, rather than wasting, if they can be provided. So there will be many such examples shared, and more examples you will be creating on your own once you go through these. And there will be definitely entire hand holding done in phase 2. There will be template for teachers report of phase 2. There will be templates for students report, the online quizzes, videos, activities, which for students activity, they will be trimmed down and provided. And for your own reference, they will be all available for your future use. And the special focus we are trying that how responsible waste management can be done through these 5 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, and then least should be disposal. And for disposal also will be asking various experts to be giving us insights into the models, which can very cost effective models, which we can implement in our higher education institutions. Or so I invite all the teachers of all subjects for conceptualizing more themes for these FTPs in collaboration with industries, with NGOs, or on own, and with GAD-TLC. You can email us, and specifically for the chemistry FTP, I'm waiting for some more valuable inputs from my chemistry colleagues from across the country. Please drop a mail if you have idea. We will be happy to take you as a part of this program. And special thanks goes to Professor Sarita Pasi, who is helping me evolve this entire theme. And I'm sure she is also going to share some good practices. We are also requesting Shushmita ma'am and Indu Sidwani ma'am from Gargi College to share some of the greener practices that they have been adopting in their institutions. So that's how we plan to take. And those who have not yet registered in this particular, please do register, because for getting e-certificate, this registration along with the feedback link, which I am sharing, and I request my team to be sharing it on the YouTube as well. So please fill up both of these forms within 1 hour, and then and only then we will be able to take it further. Now I will be requesting for some questions and the entire panel to be with me in answering that. Please, if you have any, and I'll request Chirag, my technical team, to please unmute my fellow colleagues, and they can please talk to us, and we will be happy to extend this session further, because this being a new area and the way we are implementing, we will like to listen from you. And if you have some queries, if you have some feedback, you can write that in the feedback also. And please, you can now speak, interact with us, and ask any queries that you have. So Disha Grover is saying, can school teachers be a part of cancer program? Yes, Disha, we are thinking of making this, but then in the first batch, there is an upper ceiling, because this is a 2-level. We are thankful for ICS for entire much of the support being given, but then it has to be a continuous handhold. So there will be limited seats, but yes, we will be making it open to the school education teachers as well. And if there is a response better, then we may do the repeat of this 1-week FDP as well. So that definitely, or we may extend the resources. So definitely that will be there. And any other question, you can please write down, or there are so many hands raised.
Hello, ma'am.
Chirag, please, if you can unmute. We are here to answer your queries. Josna ma'am, you are also requested to be here, because around the cancer theme, you will be the best person to answer if there are any queries. Yes, please.
Madam, may I?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I'm DG Pundekar from Mumbai, Somaiya College. I'm having one question. In case of what you have referred, experiential learning, it is an excellent way. In fact, it is a need for the community, for society and students to understand the discipline well, and in fact, in an integrated manner. But the question is, my question is, there are certain disciplines, particularly humanities, where practical part is very limited. And with such concepts, when the student go to a community to understand or to apply the concepts, in that case, how their assessment can take place? Because if it is a learning, it has to be with the assessment. How can that assessment take place, and what kind of rubrics can be developed for that assessment? That is my question. Thank you.
Dr. Fondekar, a very relevant question, I will say. And as I mentioned, that there will be proper rubrics given, so that there is a uniformity in terms of evaluation of these projects, and that is being worked out along with the theme experts. Like for the cancer awareness program, we will be looking from the theme point of view, and also integrating with the 21st century skills requirement, that how the group has been able to do the reflective thinking, or to able to present that. They will be doing a group presentation in front of you. They will be also uploading the report on the portal. There will be quizzes available. So there are different formats of assessment, very exciting ones that we are evolving, and they will be given to you. And we are looking for your inputs also, because as we have that FDP. Vanita, please. So as we are evolving this FDP, in both of these, we will be also, those who are participants, taking their feedback on the various rubrics that we have evolved, because no one is so much expert. We are all contributing and evolving the system. So we will be taking your valuable inputs also in before we finalize the students.
Yes, madam. Surely. Thank you, madam.
This is how we will be taking.
Can I just come in for a moment?
Yes, ma'am, please. You can.
I want to point out to the gentleman concerned that he and every one of us is in the best university in the world, and that is the University of Life. If you have lived, you have met people, you have interacted with people, you automatically get to know, even if you don't acknowledge it, what the pain or the difficulties of another person is. So you don't need too much of a guidance on that score, as you work, as I think it was Professor Bakshi who said, with your head, your hand, and your heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much ma'am for that important point. Please, can we go ahead?
Hello, ma'am, may I?
Yeah, Dr. Anshu, please.
Ma'am, I have just one question and one query instead of question. Sometimes what happens, most of the times we find that the students, they prepare for UPSC and RPSC examinations. But sorry to say that most of the time the examination pattern or the examination paper pattern is such that they emphasize on rote learning, like GS questions and all that. So how to deal with such problems? Because we are trying our best to do that, to emphasize on experiential learning for multidisciplinary approach. But the exam pattern, for competitive examination, there should be some effort from that side also. So that, because in government sectors, everybody, most of 70% parents, they think that their children should go for government jobs and all that. Because I belong to Jaipur, and the suburb areas of Jaipur, even there also I find that the parents, they are more interested in government jobs. So they always, pressurize their children to prepare for government jobs and all that. And for that, there's only one way out, and that is rote learning. Please focus on that.
Principal sir, you would like to address this question?
I think she has raised a very fundamental problem of our teaching learning, methodology, which we are adopting, and also, the way the students are assessed. So you see, we have had some workshops on the assessment processes in the universities, and also how we can, suggest the alternative models. The National Education Policy 2020 has emphasized many things. They have brought in the skill component to develop the students professionally, and also to make their education more meaningful in their own discipline, and also in an interdisciplinary way. We have been discussing this, Professor Vimal and Dr. Anshu, that if we are really keen to have more experiential learning, then it has to be a kind of continuous internship based learning also. If we have listened Professor Ved Prakash little seriously, he was emphasizing various types of internships. No, internships of what? Internships in the corporate sector, internships in the government sector, the policy programs that we have, and also, in the various, the stakeholders like NGOs who are working in different sectors. The Indian Cancer Society is one of them. So if the student gets involved, in getting exposure of these areas, then obviously the people who are guiding them, who are helping them in these understanding the nitty-gritties of their own discipline, they should be part of the assessment process. I agree completely that the end semester or the end year evaluation, or the typical traditional examination system has not been transformed in many of the universities, even though the need is being felt. And I think the next stage to the adoption of national education policy would be more of a continuous assessment rather than the rote learning, as Dr. Anshu has emphasized. So in चीजों को देखते हुए, I think we need to evolve our response system. इसके लिए सबसे पहले तो ये बात जिसमें हम 21st century skills की बात कर रहे हैं, so we need to, train the teachers also, that how are they going to be a part of this completely transformative process. इस चीज को कहना बहुत आसान है, मगर इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना जो है, उसके लिए वी नीड टू डेवलप नॉट मेरली द रूब्रिक्स बट आल्सो द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. फॉर इंस्टेंस, अगर हमने कॉन्टिन्यूस असेसमेंट करनी है तो 40 स्टूडेंट्स को या 60 स्टूडेंट्स को क्लास में बैठा के नहीं कर सकते. इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. 60 students and one teacher is observing. So therefore, in the smaller groups, when the teacher is interacting and the students are when they're doing the joint activities, partially I'm sure in their practicals, in their internship programs, in others, this process is possible, and we are going to have, as I discussed with Dr. Vimal, we will have a complete maybe a 1 week FDP on the assessment tools, the methodology, which is required to make this national education policy much more, acceptable to the people in terms of the assessment tools. And or also, we need to involve the stakeholders in this, not only the teachers and the students, but I think the corporate sector, the sectors where they are going to get employment. There are many areas which are going to emerge. We do not know, the type of employment opportunities 20 years from now will be totally different. What we studied at the 10th level or the 12th level, we had a different concept of the employment opportunities that we are going to have. Now you see, there is a huge gamut of opportunities which is available to the students. And I'm sure, the changing needs of the society, the changing methodology and the responsive education will open up much more responsibilities for the teachers to, be more interactive with the students. Yes, the assessment tools, the assessment methodology, and the university system should change.
Thank you so much, sir. Professor Bakshi, sir, you would like to add something on this? You are on mute, sir.
Thank you. See, what I would like to say is that we need to bring a big change in the way we teach our students. But it's not going to be very easy, because most of the teachers themselves are the product of the old system, which focused on rote learning, scoring high marks, and examination. So changing those teachers who have been trained otherwise by other system, that is going to be a big task. And therefore, that is what I always say, professional development is the need of the hour. There is a report by NASA, according to which 98% of the kids who enter kindergarten, they think different. But once they go through our education system, and at the age of 25, when they come out, 98% of them think alike. That means we have not been encouraging out-of-box thinking. We have been giving ready-made answers to the questions. That is why, they are not able to think anything new, and they accept whatsoever it is told to them. And that curbs their inquisitiveness, curiosity, and creativity in them. Therefore, if a big change is to be brought, I think we should start from kindergarten. How it is to be done, one will have to plan, but it should be from that level onwards throughout the entire school education, and then also in higher education. And then, as the question was, I must say that assessment drives learning. The way you will start assessing your students, slowly your students will start learning in that way. That can be the best way to change the pattern of learning. You know, if you ask them rote learning question, they will do rote learning. Now look at IIT. In IIT examination, the nature of the questions is totally different. And the way we normally teach in our schools, that doesn't fit into that. That is why most of the people start going to coaching institutions, because then they prepare them for that. Again, assessment is driving learning here also. So we will have to change assessment, but then how to change the pattern of assessment, that itself is a big problem. In our teaching, we normally focus on lower order thinking skill, knowledge, understanding, and somewhat about application. Beyond that, we do not go. That is why, you know, there is a dearth of creative minds in India, and we say there is a crisis of creativity in Indian education system. Students are not to be blamed. Students come with an open mind to the classroom. It is how we train them, how, on what path do we put, that ultimately decides. You know, in our India's education system, which is one of the largest education system in the country, I think there are more than 11 to 12 million teachers, including school education. These are the teachers who decide ultimately what students and how they should learn. They will have to be changed. You know, I always say national education should be given as much a priority as we give to the national security. We cannot take liberty with national security. Similarly, we should not take liberty with our national education. It should be given that much importance. So I think a lot needs to be done. That's all what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request the next question? I think Viniti Gupta has raised her hand.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am. It's always been a pleasure to listen to your webinars and attending your courses. My question is on experiential learning only. The problem is that it's not only an experience which we have to give our students to learn. See, we belong to colleges affiliated to state universities. You must be very much aware of our resources and the student strength. We are not about 50, 60 students pitched against one teacher. We're about 200 students pitched against one teacher. Now, the thing is that in our college, we would like you all to also have an experiential learning. We invite you to our college and see. I'm a chemistry teacher, first of all, ma'am. So I would request you that you all also must visit state colleges and see the situation before we can embark ourselves on this path of just giving experiential learning to our students. We would like you to see the resources, the drawbacks. We have so many ideas. Let me tell you, we have been manufacturing rose water, and our institute is running vocational courses. So one drawback is definitely the infrastructure, like Dr. Jaswinder is saying, Dr. Bakshi has been rightly saying that this needs, and we really have to put ourselves forward to it. And the second request I would like to put you is that in this NEP, in this vocational course, we are expected to actually interface with the MSME, with the Ministry of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises, and NSICs and IITs and industries for vocational training, and so that they can give their skills and expertise to our students. Now, the problem is that the institutions cannot take up amount of money from the students regarding the vocational fees, that is limited. And on the other hand, the MOU is not easily given by these government bodies to the institutions. So what I would request is that the education ministry should put an equal, capping on MSME, just like the colleges, that they should be ready to impart knowledge with minimum charges, free of cost, or whatever. That interface has to be both-sided, not only on the part of the teachers or the institute to create an MOU with the MSME, but the pressure should be on the MSME and the industries for CSR to just come forward and give their, expertise, their materials and everything to students. Because see, again, state universities have students coming from rural and semi-rural backgrounds. At times, there is a lot of financial crunch in their houses. They cannot afford a fees of even 3,000 rupees to enroll themselves. Many a times, teachers have to help them enroll. So all this can be really taken forward if we give a bird's eye view to it, and not only put the pressure on an educational institute which is just focused on teaching to get an interface with the industry, but also a pressure on the ministries of MSME, NSICs, ITIs, etc., to just give their support to all of us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I think, Viniti, a very, very important concern, which is actually touching to all of us as teaching community. So definitely, as we go towards the internship side, there have to be resources and there have to be CSR activities from industry point of view. But I think we'll have to be just forthcoming in interacting with them, and let us see, try to work. And there should be, yes, government level efforts also in providing resources, because when we say that we want the students to be working in group, as a chemistry teacher, if they are not having chemicals, what will they do in working towards the chemistry theme? And if you talk about the sincere research being carried out, then yes, definitely towards the research activities is much in terms of the lab equipments and other facilities.
Ma'am, you are in a position where you can really put a request forward to other departments that this can be incorporated and this can be suggested. So that is why my request to you, ma'am.
Viniti, see, that is what the idea around the webinar, that once we start discussing around a new thing which is coming, then we all as stakeholders, we think around, we look at the problems, we look at the challenges, we look at the benefits, and then we request all the concerned authorities wherever, in whichever platform we are there, and to take it further. And that's where I think this in chemistry FDP, which I call that, if we have some resources which are being thrown in the environment, can they be provided to the school education system? So
yes, ma'am, that's a very good suggestion.
We cannot find all the solutions, but some solutions, I am sure, as chemistry teachers, at least in that FDP, the theme which we have, and I'll be really looking forward to valuable comments and inputs from all my colleagues, where we can evolve some strategies. We buy chemicals and we are wasting money in that, and because we are filling full test tubes, 10 ml, which the reaction can be done with one drop. We can save.
Yes, ma'am.
So one side we are thinking about where do we get resources. I think we should also responsibly look at what are the things where from our own domain point of view we can save.
Ma'am, we are preparing meta-dinitro naphthalene and products in our lab, so we are using them only to test nitrogen, element detection. So we do that, we often do that. And even if we are preparing any other like nickel dimethyl glyoxime or whatever, we are trying to use that also. What the problem here, yes, definitely we should do, and we should not waste chemicals and everything. But my thing is on the vocational part and the skill development part, because my focus is more on just getting the students to learn a skill. I have the skill, I can give them the theoretical part, but what we need are the machines, what we need are the, the raw material, and then the expertise. So there that money is required, the finance comes there. And that is the roadblock which we presently face.
But can I say something?
Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah.
मैम मैं काफी देर से ये सुन रहा हूँ और आगे भी मैं पार्टिसिपेट करता रहता हूँ. मुझे खास तौर पे बख्शी जी की वो बात के रिफ्लेक्शन की ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस है, आउट ऑफ बॉक्स सोचने की ज्यादा जरूरत है प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग के लिए. पर आपको जान के एक हैरानी होगी कि इसके लिए जो एक पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट फिलॉसफी है, जिसमें लॉजिक भी है, अप्लाइड एथिक्स भी है, एथिक्स हैं, जो कंपल्सरी इवन कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स में भी. जो हेल्प करता है क्रिएटिव माइंड बनाने में। सीबीएसई ने वो सब्जेक्ट ही अबॉलिश कर दिया,
कहाँ बैठोगी
कोर्सेज की लिस्ट में से वो सब्जेक्ट अबॉलिश कर दिया है। तो मैं आपकी मतलब जरिए ये बात आगे पहुंचाना चाहता हूं कि ये वाला सब्जेक्ट जो है रीइंट्रोड्यूस किया जाए सीबीएसई के लेवल पे। जैसे बात तो हो रही है कि किंडरगार्टन ऑनवर्ड जो है ये सब कुछ शुरू हो, लेकिन सीबीएसई ने ये सब्जेक्ट अबॉलिश कर दिया है फिलोसफी, जिसमें लॉजिक, एथिक्स, अप्लाइड एथिक्स है, +1 +2 ऑनवर्ड्स।
प्रिंसिपल सर, यू लाइक टू कमेंट? सर हमारे सीबीएसई लेवल पे भी काफी एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व हैं सर।
You know, I would like to, react to both the colleagues, Dr. Neeraj Kumar and Dr. Vaditi. First, Neeraj जी, ये सीबीएसई का ये देखो कि अब तो जो है वो पूरा स्कूल एजुकेशन के ऊपर एक क्वेश्चन मार्क है। हमारा जो सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटीज एंट्रेंस टेस्ट है, वो प्रॉब्लम ये थी इन इन द अंडर ग्रेजुएट एडमिशंस कि डिफरेंट स्कूल्स के डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स हैं। Their assessment mechanisms were totally different, and as a result, it was not possible to compare the assessment standards of different school boards. तो इसकी वजह से वो सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटीज एंट्रेंस टेस्ट आया, और अब जैसे दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटीज, दिल्ली में जो यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं इंक्लूडिंग यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली, तो उनमें क्या हुआ है कि वी आर फोकसिंग, जिस भी बच्चे ने अपना सीबीएसई का रिजल्ट पास कर लिया है, एग्जामिनेशन पास कर लिया है, he or she will be eligible to take admission provided they are appearing in the CUET. तो उनका स्कोर जो है वो स्कूल एजुकेशन इटसेल्फ जो है ना, वो मुझे लगता है कि जो डिफरेंट स्कूल बोर्ड्स हैं, CBSE is not their controlling authority. The NCERT should do something in this exercise and do a very extensive exercise कि different school boards को किसी ना किसी एक comparable platform पे हम जरूर लेके आए और वहां ये डिसाइड करें। बहुत सारे स्कूल बोर्ड्स में फिलॉसफी है सब्जेक्ट।
Yes, even in Punjab we are having.
Yes, even in Punjab, it is there. Punjab used to be an extremely good board, but अब देखो पंजाब में कितनी एजिटेशन और पंजाब में कितने रिएक्शंस आ रहे हैं। Slowly we need to reform, और जो बोर्ड्स अपने आप को उस तरीके से अपडेट नहीं करते हैं, उनकी ये दिखते हैं। और जो CBSE, even though it is considered to be, the torch bearer in a certain sense, but all the school boards, they do not follow the CBSE. Yes, but your point is well taken कि ये जो philosophy subject है, अगर आज हम अपने इंडियन philosophical systems की बात कर रहे हैं, तो बच्चों को उस philosophy के साथ, चाहे वो गांधी जी की है या वो कौटिल्य की philosophy है या हमारी ट्रेडिशनल इंडियन नॉलेज है, और जब तक हम बच्चों को इनिशिएट इसमें नहीं करेंगे, perhaps it may not be possible. तो दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में कुछ एक्सरसाइज हो रही है अंडर ग्रेजुएट लेवल पे, दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट टू टेल यू। डॉक्टर विनीति ने जो बेसिक इशू रेज किया है,
एक्सक्यूज मी, मोर ओवर फिलॉसफी हैज लॉजिक इन इट्स करिकुलम व्हिच इज वेरी नेसेसरी टू मेक क्रिटिकल माइंड्स। इफ वी मतलब इसको खत्म कर देंगे तो क्रिटिकल माइंड कैसे आएंगे? दिस विल बी अ हिपोक्रेसी, नथिंग एल्स। On one side we will be abolishing those subjects which help us creative and critical minds. On the other side, we expect that our education system and students must be innovative and creative, including teachers also. So it should be reintroduced if we want really creative work.
इस बार तो एग्जाम फिलॉसफी में हो रहा है, और जो 27
सर CBSE में अबॉलिश हो गया है, और इन जनरल यूनिवर्सिटीज में या कॉलेजेस में जब वैकेंसीज खाली हो गई हैं तो नई रिक्रूटमेंट नहीं हो रही, वो कंप्यूटर साइंस और या साइंसेज में जा रही हैं, तभी धीरे धीरे सोसाइटी में डीजनरेशन आ रही है वैल्यूज के लेवल पे। ह्यूमैनिटीज भी सफर कर रही है, फिलॉसफी सबसे ज्यादा है उसमें। वी डोंट वांट क्रिटिकल माइंड्स, जस्ट पेइंग द लिप सर्विस। इफ वी रियली वांट क्रिटिकल माइंड्स, सब्जेक्ट लाइक फिलॉसफी मस्ट बी एनकरेज्ड, like it is encouraged in Canada, America and other countries.
का जो वेबसाइट आप खोल रहे हो,
हाँ जी, ठीक है सर, वो एज फार एज माई सेल्फ इज कंसर्न आई कम्प्लीटली एग्री विद यू, और वो देखेंगे कि हम इसको किस लेवल पे इसको वी कैन गिव इट टू द सीबीएसई आल्सो.
थैंक यू.
वी आर गोइंग टू हैव अ मीटिंग वेरी सून, इनफैक्ट इन द सीबीएसई शायद 22 या 23 जून को एक मीटिंग शेड्यूल हुई है, एंड योर सजेशन विल बी फॉरवर्ड.
थैंक्स अ लॉट.
डॉक्टर वनीति, जो आप फंडामेंटल इशू रेज कर रहे हो वो है इंडस्ट्री और एकेडेमिया की इंटरेक्शन का.
जी मैम, जी सर.
हाँ जी, बेसिक जो इशू है वो आपका ये है. यू नो, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने देखो 2% एजुकेशन सेस हम देते हैं. आई मीन जो टैक्स कलेक्शन होती है, टोटल टैक्सेस का जो डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस है, इनकम टैक्स, उसका 2% वी आर गिविंग एज द एजुकेशन सेस. यू नो, this should be made available exclusively, you know, to the education system.
Okay.
तो अभी उतना एलोकेशन इसकी हो नहीं रही है. सेकेंडली, जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ स्किल डेवलपमेंट है, इन्होंने बहुत कोशिश की. आई कैन टेल यू, डॉक्टर विमल आल्सो नोज, वी वर पार्ट ऑफ द डिफरेंट यूजीसी कमेटीज जिसमें स्किल डेवलपमेंट कोर्सेज भी डेवलप हुए. स्किल डेवलपमेंट की मिनिस्ट्री ने भी बहुत सारा हमें हैंड होल्डिंग करने की कोशिश की. बट बाई एंड लार्ज आई टेल यू, जो नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसमें दिस वाज रियलाइज दैट दी, you know, we have not been able to provide the skill sets to the students जो intention हमारी थी. So therefore a new twist in the new education policy. तो इसमें क्या है कि उसमें जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल एक मिनिस्ट्री के अंडर डेवलप हुई थी कि डिफरेंट सेक्टर काउंसिल्स वो डेवलप करेंगे. लेट अस से कि वो आईटी की है, या वो लेट अस से वो गारमेंट्स की है, या इस किस्म की डिफरेंट सेक्टर स्किल्स काउंसिल्स उन्होंने एस्टेब्लिश करनी थी. डिस्पाइट दैट, यू नो, द कॉलेजेस, द इंस्टीट्यूशंस एट द अंडर ग्रेजुएशन लेवल, क्योंकि इसका मेन फोकस अंडर ग्रेजुएशन का था. अंडर ग्रेजुएशन लेवल पे आईटीआईज को या हम आईआईटीज को अगर छोड़ दें, अगर इंजीनियरिंग एजुकेशन को डायरेक्टली छोड़ दें, मगर जो जनरल एजुकेशन है उसमें स्किल एजुकेशन बहुत सक्सेसफुली हम इसको इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाए. This is the assessment. I am telling you. This is the realization in the new education policy also. तो इसलिए एक नया ट्विस्ट है उसमें. Yes, I think जैसे हमारी स्टेट्स हैं, let me talk about पंजाब. पंजाब में देखो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंडस्ट्री, पंजाब में गारमेंट इंडस्ट्री, पंजाब में टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री इतनी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है, मगर स्कूल लेवल पे, हम अपने कॉलेज लेवल पे कोई भी इनकी इंटरेक्शन नहीं है. जी. आई मीन यू, आई हैव बीन, यू नो, डूइंग सम सर्वेस इन द हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम, और पंजाब के बहुत सारे कॉलेजेस को, पंजाब और आंध्र आर टू स्टेट्स, यू नो, वेयर आई एम वेरी कीन. तो पंजाब में मैंने देखा है कि जो हमारी एक्चुअल इंडस्ट्रीज हैं उनका हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम के साथ बिल्कुल भी कुछ नहीं है.
जी, एग्जैक्टली सर. अब आप ये मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी, हम
इसमें माय सजेशन इज कि इसको अगर हम स्टेट लेवल पे टेक अप करें, एंड यू नो, लाइक ये जो हमारे चैम्बर्स हैं, चाहे वो एसोचैम है या सीआईआई है, इन लोगों को अगर हम, दे आर रेडी टू कम टू द कॉलेज, दे आर रेडी टू कम टू द स्कूल्स, अगर हम इनको इनवाइट करें, एंड देन यू नो, जो हमारे ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स हैं, चाहे वो एफडीपी है, कुछ है, या हम कॉलेज लेवल पे या अपने यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे कुछ इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं. यू नो, द यूनिवर्सिटीज, दे हैव अ वेरी मेजर रोल इन ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग द अंडर ग्रेजुएट एजुकेशन. जो रूरल एरियाज में, गांव में जो हमारे कॉलेजेस हैं, स्कूल्स हैं, या यूनिवर्सिटीज भी हैं, वो अपने आप इसको इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाती जब तक किसी चीज का कोई डंडा नहीं है. इट शुड बी मेड कंपल्सरी कि जो आपने सजेस्ट किया है कि एमएसएमईज, पंजाब पूरे में देयर इज नो लार्ज इंडस्ट्री, यू नो, दीज आर प्राइमरली एमएसएमईज ओनली. अगर 45 लाख यूनिट हैं तो तकरीबन 1.5-2 लाख यूनिट, 3 लाख यूनिट पंजाब में है. They are dying over a period of time. So, you know, they will also get some trained people and they will also get some interaction. I agree with you कि इस किस्म का कोई इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म होना चाहिए जिसमें एकेडेमिया और जो हमारा इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर है, इसमें हम एक इंस्टीट्यूशन.
सर, इसमें एक और प्रॉब्लम जो आ रही है कि एमओयूज क्योंकि मुश्किल से नहीं मिलते, तो आप ये मानिए कि ये बिजनेसेस बन गए हैं कुछ इंस्टीट्यूट्स के जो हर चीज का MOU प्रोवाइड कर देते हैं। मतलब ये एक फ्रॉड सिस्टम भी शुरू हो गया है हर जगह, क्योंकि हमें एक MOU चाहिए। इंस्टीट्यूट कैन नॉट रन अ वोकेशनल कोर्स विदाउट एन MOU। तो कुछ फ्रॉड कंपनीज बन गई हैं जो आपको A to Z कोई भी MOU प्रोवाइड कर देते हैं। नाउ बच्चे को तो हमने करा दिया, हमने उसको अपना काम हमने करा दिया, पर बट ये हम क्या कर रहे हैं? लाइक आर वी सपोज टू डू दिस? बट वी आर डूइंग दैट सर। मतलब हम तो नहीं कर रहे, बट आई हैव हर्ड ऑफ इट कि ये हो रहा है।
यू आर राइट, बट यू नो दीज प्रैक्टिसेस को तो
तो
हमें
इस चीज को भी तो प्रिवेंट सर करवाना पड़ेगा। हम लोग अपने अगर एथिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, हम बच्चों में एथिक्स लाने की बात कर रहे हैं, पर आप देखिए कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं अपने इस स्कीम को आगे ले जाने के लिए। तो थोड़े हमारे इन चीजों में हम करना बहुत चाहते हैं सर, टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, बट हमको रोड ब्लॉक्स मिलते हैं इस तरीके के। तो बस आपसे तो रिक्वेस्ट है, आप इतनी अच्छे पैनल पे पोस्ट पे हैं, अगर आप इस चीज को थोड़ा सा थोड़े एजेस स्मूथ कर दें, थोड़ा मोर इंस्टीट्यूशनल फ्रेंडली इन चीजों को कर दें, स्पेशली इन एफिलिएटेड कॉलेजेस, तो डेफिनेटली जो डेडिकेटेड टीचर्स है वो बहुत इस चीज में आगे बढ़ा के ले जाएंगे चीजों को। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू विनीति फॉर योर इनपुट्स। एंड डेफिनेटली एथिक्स की बात और हम सारे प्रोग्राम्स में भी आई थिंक अगर हम टीचिंग कम्युनिटी ही एथिक्स से दूर भागेंगे तो फिर वो तो सिस्टम विल कोलैप्स, एंटायर सोसाइटी विल कोलैप्स। एंड चाहे अब वो API पॉइंट्स में बेकार की पब्लिकेशंस हो या इस तरफ, तो अब अगर सिस्टम को इम्प्रूव करने की कुछ निकला है और अगर उससे हम होना चाहिए, that is definitely not a way to go ahead, and we have to
Dr. Vimal, I have a suggestion, you know, जो डॉक्टर विनीति जी कह रही थी, ये तो हम करेंगे किसी ना किसी तरीके से। we will bring, you know, CII people also into one of our programs so that, you know, we can get some commitment and ask them कि उनका इस चीज के ऊपर पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है। जैसे आपने ये इंडियन कैंसर सोसाइटी को लेके किया है, ज्योत्सना जी यही हैं, ऐसा ना अब क्या हो रहा है कि यूथ में बिकॉज ऑफ द डिसइल्यूजनमेंट यू नो विद द एजुकेशन एंड द नॉन अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द अपॉर्चुनिटीज, ड्रग्स का एक बहुत बड़ा ट्रेंड, इट इज नॉट ओनली पंजाब, आई एम टेलिंग यू, इट इज एवरीवेयर, इट इज वेरी रैम्पेंटली स्प्रेडिंग एवरीवेयर। क्या हम इस किस्म का कुछ कई बार पेरेंट्स को पता ही नहीं चलता कि उनके बच्चे ड्रग्स ले रहे हैं, you know, and when they come to know of it, it is too late. It is too late for them to bring them back to the mainstream. उसका ये रीजन है, ना तो उनके पास रिसोर्सेस हैं, ना बच्चे फिर उनकी साइकोलॉजिकली बात मानते हैं। तो ये एक हमारा स्किल डेवलपमेंट का कुछ इस किस्म का कुछ हम करें, जिसमें हम पेरेंट्स और स्टूडेंट्स दोनों को साइमल्टेनियसली एक अवेयरनेस लेवल पे लेके आए। यू नो, एक अगर मदर एजुकेटेड है कि उसके बच्चे को, चाहे वो ज्यादा फॉर्मली उसकी एजुकेशन ना भी हो, बट इफ शी इज एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इसके क्या इम्प्लीकेशंस हैं और किस स्टेज पे बच्चा जो है वो गलत रास्ते पे जा सकता है, तो आई थिंक हमारी भी इस बिल्कुल ऑन पैरेलल सिस्टम, जैसे आपने इंडियन कैंसर सोसाइटी का एक मूव बनाया है इसी किस्म का, कि क्या उसके इनिशियल पोटेंट्स होते हैं और इसके अल्टीमेट कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या हैं, एंड यू नो हाउ इट कैन बी डैमेज्ड एंड हाउ द स्टूडेंट्स कैन रिट्रीव फ्रॉम दिस, not the students, the general youth, how we can bring them back into the mainstream, rehabilitation के कुछ programs को बता के उनके parents को इसके साथ aware करके कुछ इस किस्म का करेंगे, तो it will be a great contribution to you know the education also. अब देखो बहुत सारे जो students initial stage पे drugs consume करते हैं या ये cigarette पीते हैं, उसपे पता नहीं क्या क्या डाल के उसकी smoking करते हैं, तो पेरेंट्स को कई बार पता ही नहीं होता। हम स्टूडेंट्स की, मैं बिकॉज वी आर इन द यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली एंड देयर आर मेनी यू नो सच प्रॉब्लम्स दैट वी फेस, तो क्या इस किस्म का डॉक्टर ज्योत्सना को लेके कैन वी डू समथिंग ऑफ दिस सॉर्ट आल्सो, एंड वी कैन इन्वॉल्व इनफैक्ट मेनी कोलीग्स जो आज प्रेजेंट हैं, जिनका एक्सपीरियंस, जिनका इनपुट्स हमें बहुत इस चीज में काम करेंगे।
Definitely, sir. That's a very again an important issue in our society, and that's what I think. We believe that through education system we can actually hit on all small way, but then a very large perspective to improve our society. And that is what I think. So internship, not simply that they are to go into industry and do the same work that they are aspiring to, but working in team, working with society, they have a better understanding, a humane touch in their entire perspective, even they are going into industry. So when we talk about this chemistry approach, yes, the safer practices, the environment friendly practice, so anything they do in later in life, they will be conscious about these efforts. So that's the, I think we are running out of time, and please, we have 2 hands raised. So last 2 questions, Devesh Vijayji, please go ahead, and other name I cannot see. So after that, yeah.
Thank you, Vimalji. Firstly, I congratulate your panel for a very wonderful and very relevant topic being brought up. But I have a worry that how internships and experiential learning is to be implemented has not been very sufficiently addressed. There are some subjects in which internships, etc., are easy to institute and encourage, like chemistry, maybe like physics. But for philosophy, for history, etc., internships will be difficult to find because here mainly the career options are in teaching and bureaucracy and research. Now, I think something institutional will have to be done to centrally plan what kind of internships will be instituted. Will students go to teachers to get a taste of teaching, those who want to become teachers, or to get a taste of research? But in this consent of these professors who are doing research to take these as interns will have to be taken. So at the central level, some planning will have to be done and tie-ups will have to be made, and a lot of instruction be given to teachers who will be sending the interns. And second thing is that even in subjects like chemistry and physics, where internships may be easier to find, there can be a lot of exploitation in terms of both wastage of time and other kinds of exploitation if students just pick up their own sites for field experience, etc. And for this, reputed institutes will have to be selected. And I think at the level of UGC, some committee will have to be there to help teachers find places where they can send their students as interns and for experiential learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Devesh Vijay, for the very valuable inputs. And let us see, the system is evolving, but there have to be many models. So it cannot be just a top-bottom approach. It has to be variety of opportunities, because every region has different challenges in terms of job opportunities for their students. So it cannot be centralized, but I think it has to be decentralized. It has to be looking at what principal sir mentioned. In Punjab, you have a different scenario, different type of MSME. Similarly, in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Meghalaya, we'll have different type of social issues. We'll have different type of job opportunities for the kids. Yet there will be some global level. So I think collaboration is the key. And let us see, there will be obviously policies coming, but then this is the time of transformation. So let us be active and positive part of the transformation is what my humble appeal to all my colleagues will be. Last question, I could not see any this. There's a dot written in your name. Please go ahead.
Shall I?
Yeah, please tell your name.
Madam.
Yeah, please.
It's from Manipur, Dr. Oinam Singh from Modern College Chemistry Department.
Okay.
So, Madam, please explain about the skill development which to be offered by the chemistry student. In Manipur, we don't have big company or industry, so we are in infrastructure is very, very less. So please suggest some skill development to be done by the students which offer chemistry.
See, we are thinking on a session in our chemistry FDP that only from chemistry point of view, we are also trying to approach some industries that what are the skill set there and how it can be done. So just I'll say wait, because this is too early for taking that in detail. And this we had put up as an all subject teacher webinar. So we will take it only in the chemistry group further. Hope you will be joining us in the FDB.
No, madam, one thing, this time we have to introduce this NEP 2020, but this still development must be introduced in the syllabus. So please topic.
See, one simple thing I'll say, just try to see your alumni, where your students are progressing further. Try to rope in those type of industry. That is the immediate thing, because when we say internship, they have to be going towards that job scenario and working in the atmosphere, the real work environment. Definitely they will learn. But over and above, it can be different type of group activities, where then again it goes into a very serious program, at least of 3 months duration, where they are giving some proper learning outcomes to be completed and then rubrics for assessment. So we have to be taking into the very scientific way of assessment, as there's also a very, very important parameter in that. And specifically, I think in chemistry, you have to be looking into not only the industry, but what type of chemistry, the teaching opportunities are also there. So how they can contribute for better teaching practices and so on. So many things are there. Can I have some one last question? I think one more, Professor Ruchi said, and then. Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, ma'am, there's some sound here. Ma'am, my question is related to the internship only as this, because there is mention that for the courses we are introducing the internship program, which is going to be beneficial for students. But my question is this, that how we are going to implement it in the courses like math, chemistry, and physics. These are the mentioned there internship. We don't find any options for the internships in these subjects.
Sorry, Ruchi, we cannot hear you properly.
Ma'am, internship into the naturalist and the other.
May we ask others to mute, please? Kindly mute.
Yeah, please. I think, sorry, we cannot hear you. And maybe in the detailed feedback, all your queries you have, you can write down, and we will be surely taking them in our forthcoming session. Yes, sir, you were saying something, Principal, sir?
I was only requesting that if we can mute, but I just wanted to suggest to our colleague from Manipur, University of Delhi, for instance, in the Department of Chemistry, even though this is not my domain, Professor Vimal's area, we are suggesting some skill development courses which will be shortly available on the university website. But for instance, in a state like Manipur, where the green cover is depleting at a very fast rate. If you look at the studies, overall the forest cover in our country has increased from 6% to almost 14%. From 8% to 14%, there is an increase of 6%. But you see, unfortunately, in Manipur especially, the kind of traditional trees, their number is falling down, and in the cities, the quality of water availability and other civic availabilities, the increase in population or over a period of time, there is a deterioration. Can we apply certain principles of chemistry or the green chemistry in these areas where, the green cover or the forest cover, their original fauna, the natural plants can be preserved. And chemistry, I think, can help us in that area. There are many areas, as I mentioned in the introductory session, that in Punjab, the chemistry has ruined the soil of Punjab. In a state like Manipur, which is facing this depletion in the forest cover, let us use chemistry to build up, the forest cover, expand it, and preserve the natural, nature as it is there. I'm sure, Professor Vimal, you can suggest many things.
Yeah, I think so. You rightly mentioned, because when we say the concern of the society, all that when we are having our climate, or it is the degradation of our forest or the soil in particular. I think when we say internship, need not be that we are having them going into some work environment and the properly the sole labeled MSME or the proper industries, but also working with the local area people into resolving their problems. And that's where if they can apply their knowledge of any discipline, and that is what the model which we are trying to evolve, that can we do something on your own irrespective of other things, but yes, in the process we will do tie up if we can have some NGO or industry or some proper body. But over and above also, there's so much which can be done with the group of students, and in our classroom different group of students will have different inclination. So as teachers, we have to now provide them with different options. So it's not that one internship which comes from our central policy makers, and then we say that okay, all the students will do the same project, they will just copy and paste, and just like the school education system where the projects the teachers are the parents are making at the whole. I think we should not be turning this experiential learning into that, and we should be also then in the process learn from these and do the hand holding of our school education. So with these words now, let me just share my screen and go ahead. I hope that you have liked this, and we are sharing this feedback link.
One last question, ma'am.
And now please also join our Telegram group for the latest updates, any programs that we are having. And thanks to all of you, and for vote of thanks, I will invite Professor
One last question,
Sarita
ma'am,
Pasi,
please.
who is also actively involved in designing the chemistry FDP for the internship with me. So over to you, Sarita.
I would take this opportunity to thank the entire team of GAD-TLC for giving us this opportunity to think and plan of such unique FDPs. Professor Jaswinder Singh, I'm really thankful to you, because you always really help us in coming up with such unique FDPs. Dr. Vimal, as it is, has the unique ability of really taking up very nice and important topics, which really make the FDPs really very interesting. This one particularly, when we began with this, so we had this very important thing of many tasks in hand. The most important one of them was the community outreach, where we really felt that we could take this forward. Whatever we learn in our own curriculum, we would Dr. Vimal really wanted to take that to the schools, and also fulfill our social responsibility with the like in the cancer patients, with the Cancer Society. So that was one very major task, that we make the students and the community aware, and our students aware of what is going on in the society. So that was one main aim, to take the social responsibility towards the society and towards the school. So we really felt that we could do the hand holding of schools and take forward whatever we have learned over so many years, and pass on that teaching and learning to them, particularly with reference to NEP. And in that vision of ours, we would also be making the environment, when we're talking of the chemistry FDP, we would be making the environment safe, clean and green, which is the requirement of the earth at the moment. And also, many times when we are actually looking for internships, we feel there is so much to do, but we don't get the ideas. So this FDP will actually provide us with ideas as to how to make the students do the internships. So also when you're making, because we will be handing over ready-made models to the teachers as to how to involve the students with the videos and everything. Now, in that effort, while we are doing that, the students get exposure, they get confidence, and there is, as Dr. Professor Bakshi pointed it out, there will be personalized learning, the retention rates will go up. So all that, that we want from the students, our own students, will happen. And it will help the schools also to, wherever we feel that they don't have the required chemicals, we will help them with that. We are wanting to do the waste disposal and so many other things which is the need of the hour. So I think that is the basic aim with which we have designed this FDP. And Professor Bakshi, Professor Ved Prakash also helped us with the idea. And as Professor Bakshi said, that it will help the students acquire the 21st century skills, where the learning, the literacy, and the life skills, which we feel that the machines are taking over, they will be incorporated in the students. I think that is very important. So the teaching pattern has to change, where the experiential learning in class will come. So I think that is the basic aim of this FDP, the 2 FDPs that we're talking about. And I thank Professor Ved Prakash, Professor Bakshi, and Professor Jaswinder Singh for giving us this opportunity and also helping us with the ideas and letting us go forward with this. So I hope that whatever we have thought about this, also, the main, one of the aims was that other branch teachers, like we're talking of philosophy, we're talking of botany, we are talking of history maybe. So all that, this is a model for all of them, where they can actually design what they wish to take forward. So there is so much that, so while we were talking about this, so Professor Jaswinder Singh talked of drug abuse. So that was one thing we really felt that we should take and, do something, or the green, the planting of trees, and something that we can do about that. So while we are going through these FDPs, I think many ideas can come up, and other subject teachers can bring up their ideas, how they would like, what kind of learning they would like in the schools, what kind of hand-holding they can do to the school students, what all can be done for the school students, and what skills they would like this students to learn. So both the things put together, I think there will be a lot of learning. So we invite all the other branch teachers to come up with ideas along with the chemistry teachers. And with this, I would like to thank everybody for being here, for all our mentors to be allowing us, to giving us ideas. And thank you. Thank you, everyone. Vimal, you're on mute. Vimal, you're on mute. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Sarita, for putting vote of thanks. And I'll just add thanks to Ministry of Education for giving us this big opportunity to serve our fellow colleagues, and also all dear colleagues who have joined and be with us patiently from a morning, and that to a Sunday morning. And now I will request all of us to please stand in the honor of the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
So thank you, everyone, and we will be rolling out these posters. I'm sure all those who are interested, they will join, and all those who have got many ideas and many more will be coming. Please do share with us. We will be taking you with you further. So thank you everyone.